Hey there, friends. Settle in with me for a moment because I want to tell you a story, one that's been sitting heavy on my heart like a warm blanket on a cold night. It's about loss, about picking up the pieces, and about finding light in places you never thought to look. It's the kind of story that reminds you life doesn't always give you what you expect, but sometimes it gives you exactly what you need. Picture this, a sprawling valley in Montana, golden under an early autumn sun, but it's a tired kind of gold, like an old coin that's been passed through too many hands. In the middle of it all sits Campbell Ranch, a place that used to be the heartbeat of Mason Ridge, the kind of place where the soil was so rich, folks said it could feed angels. But now, the fences lean like they're ready to give up, the barn roof sags like a broken promise, and the cattle, well, the few that are left move slow, like they've forgotten what it means to thrive. And at the center of this fading world is Ann Campbell, 7 months pregnant, standing barefoot on a splintered porch, holding a mug of tea she hasn't sipped. Her husband, James, died with the summer, sudden, unfair, and far too soon. His boots still sit by the door, his scent clinging to the flannel shirt she can't bring herself to wash. The wind howls around her, and sometimes she swears it carries his voice. Other times, she prays it doesn't. I don't know about you, but I've had moments where the world feels like it's crumbling, and you're just standing there trying to hold it together. Maybe you've felt it too, that ache when you're not sure if you're grieving for what's gone or for the person you used to be. For Ann, that ache is her constant companion. She's exhausted, not just from carrying a child, but from carrying the weight of a life that wasn't supposed to look like this. Then there's Doris, her late husband's aunt, who showed up the day after the funeral with a stew pot and a no-nonsense stare. Doris doesn't ask permission, she just moves in, stirring oatmeal and keeping the house from falling into silence. She's the kind of woman who survived wars and widowhood, who knows grief isn't something you fix, but something you carry. She's there steady as a rock when Ann feels like she's unraveling. But the ranch? It's dying too. Once the pride of the valley, it's now a shadow of itself. The land feels barren, the grass brittle, and Ann's got 6 weeks until her baby arrives. 6 weeks to figure out how to bring new life into a place where everything else seems to be falling apart. It's the kind of pressure that makes you wonder, how do you keep going when the ground beneath you feels like it's giving way? That's when Ann hears about the Work for Shelter auction in town. It's not exactly a pretty tradition. Men and women, most of them broken in their own way, offering their labor for a roof, a meal, maybe a shred of dignity. It's not slavery, but it's close enough to make your stomach turn. Ann's got $50 to her name, a half-stocked pantry, and a house barely holding together. She needs a miracle, or at least someone who can fix a fence and keep their questions to themselves. So she goes to the auction, Doris riding shotgun, muttering about how they could just turn around and figure something else out. But Ann knows there's no something else. The courthouse square is buzzing with quiet desperation, trucks lined up, men leaning against tailgates, faces shadowed under worn hats. The auctioneer's voice crackles through a microphone, calling out names and skills like he's selling livestock. And then Anthony Adams steps onto the platform. He's 33, a former soldier with 2 tours overseas, hands calloused from fixing fences and machines in places most folks only see on the news. He's not loud or showy, just steady, with storm-gray eyes that seem to see right through you. His boots are military issue, his coat threadbare, and he carries a duffel bag that looks like it's seen more miles than he has. The bids climb fast. $100, $150, $200, $300 from a rancher in a suede jacket who looks like he's already won. Ann's heart sinks. She can't compete. But then, without thinking, she steps forward and says, $50, plus food, a warm bed, and a share of profits if we make any. The crowd laughs. The auctioneer hesitates. But Anthony? He doesn't flinch. "I'll take the lady's offer," he says, calm as if he's ordering coffee. Gasps ripple through the square. The rancher in the suede jacket scoffs, but Anthony steps off the platform, walks straight to Ann and tips his hat.
"Ma'am, I'm Anthony Adams. I believe we have a deal." And just like that, something shifts. Not love, not yet, but a spark, a possibility like the first green shoot breaking through frozen ground. Have you ever met someone who changed the air in a room just by being there? Not because they're loud or flashy, but because they're so steady it makes you feel like you can breathe again. That's what Anthony brings to Campbell Ranch. He's up before dawn, fixing the water pump, mending fences, nailing down roof tiles with a quiet precision that doesn't ask for praise. By the end of the first week, the pump hums like it hasn't in years, the south fence stands tall, and Anne catches herself smiling, something she hasn't done in months. They don't talk much at first, but there's a rhythm to their silence. One night, sitting on the porch swing, Anne tells him her baby's name, Grace. Anthony sips his tea and says, "That's a name built for storms." It's not just a line. It's like he sees her, sees the tempests she's been weathering, and chooses to stand in them with her. I remember a time when a single kind word from someone felt like a lifeline. Maybe you've had that moment too, when someone sees your struggle and doesn't look away. But Anthony carries his own storms. One night, Anne finds a photograph in his bunkhouse, a younger Anthony, a woman with windswept hair, and a little girl clutching a stuffed bear, his family. Marin, his wife, Sophie, his daughter. Lost to a drunk driver 3 years ago. He wasn't looking for a job when he came to Mason Ridge. He was looking to disappear. That confession cracks something open between them. Not romance, but a shared ache, a recognition that they're both rebuilding from ruins.
Then comes the plan. Anthony spreads out hand-drawn sketches, pasture rotations, barn repairs, calculations scribbled in the margins from motel rooms and bus stops. He's got an idea. Ranchers in the drought-stricken east need winter pasture. Campbell Ranch has land, fenced but idle. If they can house and feed cattle through the season, they'll earn a cut of the profits. No capital needed, just sweat and faith. Anne hesitates. It's a risk, Doris warns, but Anne's already risking everything just by staying. So she says yes, not just to save the ranch, but to save herself. The wind changes before the sky does. A blizzard warning crackles over Doris's radio. 100-year storm, they call it. Anthony's out in the pasture, moving cattle to shelter, securing hay, battening down what's left of the barn. Anne watches from the kitchen, one hand on her belly, feeling the baby, Grace, stirring. By nightfall, the snow lashes sideways, visibility drops to nothing, and Anne's contractions start. Slow at first, then sharp. Her water breaks. Doris takes charge, boiling water, laying out linens, calling the doctor who might not make it through the snow. Anthony's still out there, fighting the storm. Just before midnight, he stumbles through the door, soaked and steaming, eyes wide as he sees Anne doubled over. "You're in labor," he says, like it's news to her. She gasps, "No, I'm practicing for a dance competition." Even in pain, she's got fire. The next hours blur, Doris directing, Anthony holding her hand, whispering strength when her body shakes. At 2:38 a.m., Grace is born, her cry cutting through the howling storm like a promise. Anthony holds her first, his rough hands trembling against her tiny, perfect form. "She's here," Anne whispers, radiant despite the exhaustion. But the world isn't done. A red flicker outside the window, smoke. The barn's on fire. Anthony's out the door before anyone can stop him, swallowed by snow and flame. Morning comes, soft and cruel, blanketing the ranch in 2 feet of snow. Anne cradles Grace, Doris dozes nearby, but Anthony doesn't return until noon. His coat's scorched, his leg drags from exhaustion, and his eyes carry a new kind of shame. "We saved most of the cattle," he says hoarsely. "Lost the feed, part of the barn, but it's holding." Anne's tears are relief, not loss. He's alive. Then the truth comes out. He sets a bundle of papers on the table, deeds, trust forms, stamped by a law office. Anthony Wyatt Adams, founder of the Hope Ridge Agricultural Foundation. He once owned 15,000 acres, prized cattle, a house his grandfather built. After his family died, he gave it all away, keeping just enough to live quietly. But he'd filed one last transfer, Campbell Ranch's mortgage, paid in full, the deed in Anne's name. She's stunned, hurt. "I needed to know we were building this together," she says. He steps closer, voice raw.
Every nail, every fence, that was real. You gave me a reason to be more than broken. I gave you what I could. It takes weeks for Anne to process it. She watches him from the porch, mending fences, digging drainage lines, moving with that same quiet purpose. One afternoon, she finds him in the pasture, hammer in hand. I used to think strength was never needing help, she says. I was afraid if I leaned on someone, I'd lose them too. He turns, sunlight catching the hope in his eyes. Now, she continues, I think love is choosing someone to carry it with you. She reaches for his shirt, fingers curling into the fabric. I forgive you, and I love you.
The silence that follows isn't empty. It's full, like the wind moving through the grass. A year later, Campbell Ranch is alive again. The fields stretch green, the barn gleams red, and laughter, real everyday laughter, fills the air. Grace, now 1, toddles across the porch, her giggles healing what winter left behind. Anne and Anthony are married, a simple ceremony under cottonwoods, Grace asleep in her arms. It's not perfect, bills still come, the tractor still breaks, but it's enough, because the weight is shared. I think about my own life sometimes, the moments when I thought I'd never make it through. Maybe you're there now, standing in your own winter, wondering if spring will ever come. This story reminds me that healing doesn't rush in. It grows, slow and steady, in the hands that keep showing up, in the hearts that dared to trust again. Anne and Anthony didn't save each other. They chose each other, and that made all the difference. So tell me in the comments, have you ever found hope in an unexpected place? Maybe a person, a moment, or a choice that changed everything. If this story touched you, hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories like this, ones that remind you to stay soft, stay strong, and never stop believing in second chances. Until next time, friends, keep looking for your spring. It's out there, waiting.